We are talking about central nervous system regulation in the situation of getting bad medical news about somebody you're very close to. For many people, they're in a caretaker role for a parent or a sibling, and sometimes even a child, and they have to make a lot of decisions about a person's medical care that are profoundly influencing their emotions and their heart, and that can take somebody's nervous system, especially if you've had a brain injury, especially if you've had post-traumatic stress disorder, especially if you live in moderate levels of pain yourself on a regular basis, because that is, all these things are daily above and beyond challenges to the nervous system. This is not a more optimum circumstance, it's a more challenged circumstance. And so when you're confronted with having to make difficult decisions, you get these big spikes in how your nervous system functions, and you may feel the sense of panic. So I was just talking with somebody about this very thing, and what we did to quickly and apply practically the kind of central nervous system exercise I recommend for people with traumatic brain injuries, people with PTSD, people living in chronic pain, people who are feeling fragile in their nervous systems, is first notice what you're thinking. Maybe that's the first thing, that's the easiest place to pay attention to, is what are you telling yourself? And as we were talking, the thought was, I'm gonna do something wrong. I'm gonna screw up with these really important decisions. I'm afraid I'm gonna mess up. And then we said, well, okay, so take that idea, and then what would be 180 degrees different from that idea? And 180 degrees different, I offered a possible, maybe you might do an okay job. You don't want to go so far with your offer that it seems completely unrealistic and instead just hurls the person back into the pit of despair. You have to feel like you could maybe get slightly higher up out of this difficult place. So you say, what's 180? And that was, well, I'm going to handle this. And so that's what she was able to come up with. And so mine was even less exciting than that, and she came up with something even more positive. I'm going to handle this. And then you take that thought, and then you start to say, gee, what emotion goes with it? I said a more medium emotional state would be escalated worry. And you go, yeah, that's something one notch down from panic. Then you can look at another one of the categories of perception, and that's behavior. And so you might notice in the behavior category that you're soothing yourself instead of jumping in a raft and going down the Grand Canyon without a single paddle. That is a bad idea. So you're starting to regulate. You start to notice that you have the capacity to help guide yourself into a smoother state. Yeah, you could be in escalated worry, but it might not be so, just such an explosion in your existence. So the behavior might be that you're self-soothing, and you're going to take in that you can handle this, and you'll just take it little bit by little bit, and you'll just keep settling yourself down. And the other categories here of outside senses, you might want to use your outside senses to just look at a lot of neutral information. Neutral is where it's at, because feeling good while you're in an escalated state of worry is a pretty difficult thing to do, but to feel neutrality is something is great. I mean, I don't feel overly alarmed by my hairbrush. Maybe I should. I have a lot of tangles, but and I have a green folder over there, and that is also just a green folder. And so just nothing more. Just notice neutral. You can say colors. So I like the color of my carpet. The grass outside is starting to turn from dead winter grass to slight green hue. Neutral, neutral, neutral. I have two beautiful horses outside my window over there, also in search of green grass.